Sit on down and pour yourself a glass.
And tune into your favorite podcast,
where things will be misquoted
and opinions ain't sugar-coated.
'Cause DJ and Kelly are locked and probably loaded.
Hey guys, welcome to Locked and Probably Loaded with DJ and Kelly. I'm your host, DJ Qualls, and I'm here with my good friend, Kelly Blackheart. Hey, Kelly.
What's going on?
Nothing, just living my life. How are you?
Great. I'm loving our sunglasses.
Yeah. So for our Patreon subscribers, Kelly just did a deep dive on Temu. Probably spent $13 and got 47 pairs of sunglasses.
$26.
Yes, it probably is destroying the environment, but look at us. We look great.
We do look good.
You baloney bitches! Don't have it. This is my new obsession. You baloney bitches! Don't have it!
I feel like she would rock these sunglasses
Oh, she
very
totally
well.
would.
Like,
That
if
is-
you want these, we'll mail them to you.
That is Queen Herbie, who is amazing. And if you don't know who she is, look her up on all social media platforms. I found her on TikTok. Actually, she found me. The algorithm knows. It knows things, Kelly. It knows.
I told you the algorithm would eventually be your best friend.
So the problem with these sunglasses are they're tickling my nose.
Yeah,
and not
these
making
are
me have
so
a good
dark
time.
that I can't read my computer, but it's
so
fine.
I'm going to have to switch. So while I'm switching sunglasses, I would like to wish a happy Pride Month to everybody. I think this
Yes, happy
episode will air in June.
This will be, what, June 26th?
Yeah, so we're still in Pride Month. Happy Pride Month. And to all of our straight male listener, hey, Kevin, we're happy that you're here, and we support you, and we love you. We love you as an ally. NASCAR.
Stan listens. My brothers listen.
Oh,
I
yeah,
think.
that's right.
And that's the extent of the straights.
Yeah, we have 7 straight guys and 47,000
Isaac
women.
listens multiple times because he has to.
I'm 8. Yeah.
Yeah.
Isaac is forced to listen.
Yeah.
But I'm wearing Oakley-like sunglasses right
Oh.
now in honor of
You know what? You
being
can
a-
pull them off.
being a straight ally.
Oh, that's good.
I'm a straight ally.
There should be a straight Pride Month, shouldn't
Yeah, there
there?
absolutely should. It is so.
I know. I saw a comment on
it
the
is
internet
so
that was
funny
like,
when I see that shit. Well, what about straight pride?
"You mean all year?" I saw a comment the other day which was like, "It's ridiculous that we have a month for gay people when we don't even have a month for veterans." It's like May is Military Awareness Month, and if
dumbass.
you didn't know that, then maybe you're not an ally to the military either, buddy, bucko. I have a bunch. I have to take these off because I can't read. I have a bunch of emails that I
read
keep
some emails.
forgetting to.
Is this something I can hear or I need to read? Because I can't read with these on either.
Well, I was just going to read them to you.
Okay, read it. Can you read it to me, Kelly?
Okay, this is from Erica. DJ and Kelly, thank you. I just found your podcast a few days ago and love you both. Fucking hilarious.
Hey, Erica.
Just want to share with you guys a sob story. DJ, your little lie of your dad's stroke cracks me up. Laughed so hard I cried for a few reasons. March 22, my boyfriend stroked out in front of me in our living room. Oh,
no.
Yikes. After 2 weeks in neuro ICU, he passed away. Oh no, so sorry for your loss.
I'm so sorry.
That's fucking traumatic as hell.
Yeah, I hope I
Lord.
didn't trigger you in any way. I do.
A lot of people need dark humor to cope with.
I'm hoping that's the case. But I'm so sorry for your loss. I only would stroke my dad out when he's in his best health. When it starts to decline, I'll kill my mother. So I'm so sorry for your loss.
She said 2022 fucking sucked, but left her with an awesomely morbid sense of humor.
Okay,
she went
great,
to a supernatural convention in Burlingame, California, and your panel was one of her favorites. She said you're fucking hilarious and so sweet. So I was beyond excited when I found this podcast. I just wanted to say thank you both, and please keep it going.
Thank you so much for your support. We'll be back in Burlingame this year. That actually was a show that I didn't know a lot about because I'd never done that show before and really just loved it. So I'm happy that we could give you a little levity and love, and I'm glad that you have a wicked sense of humor because you fit right in with us. So thank you for listening.
Okay, this is from Tracy. Hey, DJ and Kelly, I'm so excited for this podcast. This is from when we first started, and I just forgot that we were getting emails.
From the 70s?
From the 70s. Let's see. Oh, this is well past. She said, the reason I'm writing, other than to tell you I love this and please keep podcasting, is because of something Kelly said in the first or second episode. Kelly, you made a passing comment about how you don't date. Are you willing to elaborate on that? We're close in age, and I'm also not looking to date right now, but sometimes I feel like an outcast because of it. And it's really because I'm too tired.
Exactly.
I'm too tired.
Both of mine and Kelly's favorite sexual positions is let's talk about sex for 2 seconds and then you go sit over there.
Yeah, it's just I mean, I've never really even been somebody who dated a whole lot. Like I had my whoring around phase, which I say that affectionately, right? Like I think you should be able to go
I never
do that
did
stuff.
that.
But I never really cared about being in relationships or anything like that. Because it's so much effort. But I remember I used to enjoy having somebody to text with and stuff like that and like feeling excited about somebody. But now I don't even know if I could feel excited about anybody.
I saw a social media comment that you did and I didn't read the context because I was probably rushing somewhere. But I just like looked on and you're like, my platonic relationships are 8,000 times better than my romantic relationship.
Yep.
So I am honored that I get to be counted in that relationship for you and meet whatever needs I can meet.
Yeah. I think that is part of the problem, right? Is because so many people, when they get into romantic relationships, their friends kind of fall by the wayside, right? And it's important to focus on your relationship, but it is a
very important
choice
to remain yourself
Yes.
and your autonomy because for several reasons. But one of the things is, so this happened to me. My buddy who you met, we hung out with the other day.
Okay.
Who I love very much, and I will always love my whole life. Was in a place in his life where he thought he needed a woman to come in and fix a bunch of stuff, right? So he meets this woman that he loves, they fell in love with, and he was my road dog. Like he was the guy I talked to every day. He was the guy that hung out with on the weekends. I would take him to bars on Santa Monica Boulevard, gay bars, and all the girls would do this. I'm so happy to be out with my gay boyfriends. What a great thing that men are hitting on me. And then they'd be like, and then at the middle of the night they would do this. Nobody thinks I'm pretty, and he would do this. I do. And I'm like, score, one for homie.
Yep.
But he met this girl that he fell in love with, and then he fucking ditched me. And I tried to rationalize it because I was like, well, he has a need base that I don't understand. But what wound up happening was, as that relationship progressed, I was cut out. And then when it was over, he comes back to me and he was like, hey, I miss you. And I had to have this hard conversation. I was like, I miss you too, but I don't think about you anymore. So I now have to retrain my brain to remember that you're important in my life, because when I was left, I was like, what do I do now?
Right.
I went out and made other friends and had a relationship and did other things. And I get it that it happens, but it's not good. And the other thing that's not good is like my female friends who've had children and their whole life becomes, I am not Daphne, I'm now Josh's mom.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I've seen this so many times. What winds up happening to Daphne so many times, none of those names are real, is when John grows up and moves out of the house, Daphne doesn't have anything left for herself. And I really think it's important in all relationships, in all aspects of your life, to maintain your sense of self, to also honor the fact that you need a break.
Right.
I read something for Mother's Day last year of what women, like polls of what women wanted the most. And one of them was, I want a day to be left the fuck alone.
Yeah.
So I could be myself. And I'm like, that makes sense, because when you get some time alone and you can reconnect with yourself and the people around you that know you differently than your familial bonds, then you can go back in recharged.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like with my main group of friends, I don't have to worry about that because our friendships are so important that they couldn't be replaced by a relationship, and they are just kind of like-minded, where it's like, I know a relationship wouldn't ever be 100% of my identity.
But I will admit this though, I'm talking about how I can see the mistake of finding your person and then making them their whole life. And then if that fails, that you have nothing left. I've done the opposite. Every relationship I've ever been in that was anything long term, I have held them at arm's length and would choose to hang out with my friends over my relationship every fucking time, and that's the opposite extreme.
Right.
And both are wrong, or
Yeah.
both are bad for you. And it wasn't until I realized that I loved my best friend, like, I want to hang out with him all the time.
Yeah.
Because it's friendship based. It's friendships first. It's not friendship based, but it was friendship 1st.
Mm-hmm.
And the overarching sort of dynamic is friendship and respect.
Mm-hmm.
I just think a lot of relationships, like, when I look at what I thought love was in my 20s, it's chaotic. And I run out of the room and you follow me. And if you don't love me. It's all this fucking testing. I want you to prove to me that you love me. I remember when I was in my first relationship in London, and I said to, have I mentioned Patrick's name before?
I don't know, but
Patrick. I mean, there's nothing bad in this. I can say it. Honey, I'm lavish.
Wave it to me, I'm lavish.
You baloney bitches. Anyway,
you didn't create the monster, but you're feeding the monster. And I love it.
Dude, I love this fucking monster. Anyway, so I remember he was 7 years older than I was when we got together. And
Play the police siren, please.
I was a grown up. I was 19. And so I remember one night saying to him, right now I want you to promise me that we'll be together forever. And this is what he said. I can't do that. I can't lie to you. That's
right.
Why would I lie to you? And I was so fucking crazy offended by it that, because it's need based and it's proof. Like, I need you to prove. That's not what love is. Mm-hmm. Also, like, he was a smoker before I met him, and the irony is, I didn't smoke or drink or do any of that shit until I was like 26 years old, and then I smoked and drank my face off for like the next.
And you're like, he was right.
Yeah, but I found a pack of cigarettes in his pocket, and I had ordered a bunch of ingredients from the United States to make American chili, and found a pack of cigarettes in his pocket, and was so fucking personally offended as a fucking kid that I dumped the entire pot of chili that probably cost me 50 pounds, like $65 American to import into
You punished yourself
into the toilet
because he smoked.
So that's what I thought love was like. And now that I am whatever age you believe me to be, I've now learned so much. And what I've learned about love is that it's patient and not needy and not chaotic and is friendship based. Mm-hmm. I don't want to be 75 years old and have to have a thing in my head. Can I still get this up? I don't have to think about that. I want to lay down and be relaxed
and left alone.
And not be left alone. I want to be left adjacent.
Yeah. Same room.
Yeah. I want you to bring me things and I'll smile at you.
Yeah.
But I don't want to have to get my dick out.
One thing I don't do anymore is deal with relationship advice, because I was always everybody's like resident guidance counselor for their relationships, and don't do it. Don't fucking get sucked in, because they will come to you and say that they need you, and they will tell you all the worst parts of your partner, and then you'll go, this doesn't sound like maybe they're treating you very well, and then they'll turn around and tell their partner that you don't like them, and every fucking time, and I'm like, why do you think I don't like them? Do you think maybe it's because of the shit you told me that they did to you?
Oh,
go fuck yourself. I've
Kelly.
That's the main reason that I've lost friendships,
Kelly,
is being honest about their
Kelly,
relationships.
Let me tell you this. That is so fucking profound that you just said that to me right now, because the woman who is my longest continuous female friend I've known since forever, was in a relationship with a guy, and she would tell me things about him, and then I had no way forward with this. And so I'm like, I fucking hate this guy. So I'm openly hostile to him when I'm in social situations with him. And I'm like, blank, I'm not going to say her name. See, I'm getting
blank.
better at that. Yeah. I don't want Isaac to have to edit anything. But I was like, she was like, stop doing that. Stop fucking doing that to him. And I'm like, how can I not? If I don't have these feelings toward him, it means that I'm not thinking
that I don't care about you.
Yes. Yeah. And so what wound up happening, they broke up, and she told me about it, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so happy for you that you were able to see her. And she was like, oh my God, you told me, and I'm over it now. And I'm so happy that you had my back the whole time and that you said all those things to him because I couldn't. And I'm like, cool. Unbeknownst to me, they get back together and she cuts me out of her life for 10 fucking years. I don't talk to my friend for 10 years because she's in and out of this thing and is so embarrassed by what she told me. She couldn't marry the two.
Right. Yeah.
I couldn't be in her life and she couldn't be in the relationship at the same time because there's feelings and she would have to acknowledge shit that she wouldn't acknowledge. It wound up working out because friendship is that kind of friendship is forever. I was never abused. She wasn't doing anything egregious to me. She just ghosted me and it profoundly hurt me, but it hurt me in a way that I could understand. I knew what was happening the moment it was happening.
Right.
And now we've worked our way back and we are better friends, but the same thing is with my male long-term close friend. We are good friends and we love each other, but we don't have the shorthand that we used to have. We don't have the immediate, like when something happens, I want to call them immediately. So I'm on a TV show right now and I have this weird dynamic on it. I feel inhibited there and this show shares a creator with another show where I also felt the same, and there's only 2 times in my career I've felt this. And I'm not saying it's his fault. It's our dynamic for some reason. He challenges me and I meet it, but it's just I've never really felt like this before, and so I didn't know how to process this. And so I worked recently on this TV show and was met by the creators and the producers at my car as I was getting in, and I was like, oh my God, they're coming to confront me because I know that I've said that I don't feel comfortable on this show. I'm getting ready to get it. And as I was getting to my car, one of them, who is like a giant television creator and one is a giant film director that's directing our show, said to me, can we talk to you right now? I'm like, fuck. Yes. And this is what was said. The director started it and said, what you do is really hard. What we ask of you is almost impossible, and your choices are the stuff of genius. And just sort of went really like deep.
Yeah.
Like this lasted for so long I was uncomfortable. I actually had to pull over and type this all out on my
so you
phone
don't
to
forget it,
remember it. But the beautiful things they said to me and my perception was completely different. But the problem is I have told so many people who are close to me how I felt on this stuff, and I'm now relating this to them, and this is not a romantic relationship, but it's a relationship certainly. I'm recounting this to them, and they're doing this. Yeah, but remember homie did this?
Right.
Yeah, remember when homie did that?
Yeah.
And I want to be able to say this. I think my perception was wrong. I think that maybe I had dragged
You're projecting your insecurities onto the situation. And
yeah,
stuff
and
like
so
that.
and my perception is certainly it's like that game of telephone you were talking
Yeah.
about earlier. It's like maybe I'm dragging all the stuff in my whole life experience into this, and it's a boys' club. And I talked about a friend who I'm having a problem with right now, a long-term friend that used to throw things at me. And then I saw him get joy because I would panic at trying to catch them because I didn't grow up in that kind of sort of bro world, right? And he and I ghosted him for a while and realized that's not fair either because somebody sort of does stuff to you that you don't like. I've still participated in it for so long. And so I owed it to him to revisit, and we're now just sort of starting general conversations. And I told him a few things and he's floored by it. He didn't know what he had done. But at the same time, I've told 2 friends who are close to me about it, and they have feelings about it. And I don't even know where the line is. I don't know how much you divulge to people.
It's such a fucking hard balance because, that's what I've said so many times is like, well, I don't want to tell my family or my close friends about this shitty thing that somebody did because I know that's their judgment will be clouded by that person forever.
Yeah.
But then you find yourself on the other side of it, not saying anything to anybody.
Because
and
you feel crazy when it's happening to you.
After
You
the
need an
relationship's
outlet
over,
yeah.
Stan was totally floored at some of the things I told him about my last relationship. He's like, why if you had told me this, I would have been like,
Does
get the
Stan
fuck
know
out
him?
of there. No, he didn't know him, but But he's like, why didn't you tell me any of this stuff? And I'm like, because I kind of knew at the time that if I told you that you would be like, what the fuck, I hate this person. And if you guys ever met, it would be awkward.
Yeah.
But now the perception in my head is like, of course, if I feel weird about telling my close friends or family about something that somebody's done to me, then that is enough for me to know that is probably a relationship that I need to reassess.
Yeah.
Whether it's a romantic relationship or a friendship or whatever. Like, if I'm trying to protect that person's image to people that love me and care about my well-being, I'm probably not supposed to be there.
But a person that can do that also is a bit more resolved than I'm talking about, like, in general.
Yeah.
You feel some kind of way. Your feelings are hurt. And when people's feelings are hurt, they get mean and they editorialize. And you over-editorialize and you tell people around you to get them on your side.
Yeah.
And
I
that
don't
is
do
a
that.
trap
Yeah.
for everybody. And what ultimately winds up happening is that if you are the friend who's being told this to, you will more than likely wind up on the outside because you're the asshole.
Yep.
Because you've now expressed an opinion and they've resolved this thing that your friend editorialized to begin with.
Yeah, I had an insanely close friendship die because she was with this guy that initially I really liked and I thought he was great and all that stuff. But as time went on, I would hear more and more things. And then it got to the point where she was like threatening to kill herself and all of this stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was because she just needed somebody to talk to and like needed it to be urgent, or if she was actually feeling those things. But I eventually went to her and I was like, I think she was like maybe wanting him to propose at some point soon or something like that. I can't remember, but I was like, if you ever married this guy, I would not be able to support it. Like,
Right.
I love you, but I can't support this relationship. So I don't want to be the person that you come to for advice about this, because I don't think you like what I have to say.
Right.
And it's straining us.
And it's only going to damage
She
our
took that
connection.
as, I don't give a fuck about you. Don't talk to me about this
wow.
stuff. And then we completely severed ties for years, like I said. And now I think she's come back around and been like, you were an amazing friend to me. Like, I'm sorry and all that stuff. But I'm like, why would you think that I would sabotage your relationship for funsies? Like,
Exactly.
have I ever given you any reason to think that I don't want the best thing for
There's
you
shit
in the
happening
world?
on like 7 levels there, right?
Yeah.
The lack of trust.
Because then it, like, I felt a certain type of way when she did come back and eventually was like, I see it all now. Because then you feel a type of way. You're like, well, I'm offended that you didn't trust me enough to know that your best interest was always at the forefront
Right.
for me. Like, what do you think about me?
And also what the person in the relationship doesn't realize is that you have also other experiences in the world. You're also dragging your own shit behind you and interpreting what they're saying at face value, but also interpreting through the lens of what you understand is healthy or not healthy based on where you are in your
and
fucking
what you want to hear.
evolutionary process,
Yeah.
right? And so my friend who with the guy, and we didn't talk for years, right when she was telling me this, when I first moved to Studio City from Santa Monica, I started going to the Chimney Sweep, now defunct. But it was a great local bar that had been open for like 40, 50 years. Like, the bartenders were like in their mid to late hundreds. It was amazing. And it was just a place to gather and talk. And there was a woman there named Mary Alice who was a fucking bomb-ass creative. Like, she was an interior designer for like shit that would blow for billionaires. Like, she redid a Frank Lloyd Wright house. Like, she was just so crazy confident. And her whole projection was confidence, but she would listen to you with her whole heart. Everything that you said, she would internalize and then give you love and advice, or just say this: if you don't want me to, after you tell me this, if you don't want me to chime in, tell me, because if you just need to unload.
Vent, yeah.
She was so fucking cool. Mary Alice killed herself, and we found out after she killed herself that she was being beaten by her boyfriend for years. And so and we had this big memorial there. The guy shows up, gets fucking chucked out. Like, we don't know any of this, right? So I'm dragging this, which I just experienced, into what my friend is telling me about her actually being not treated very well. And I'm on guard.
Yeah.
And there's no way for my friend to know this, but at the same time, whose responsibility is it when you're telling somebody that loves you your deep shit?
Right.
Like, but I was held responsible for it and I was cut out.
Yeah, it's I've had multiple friendships kind of go by the wayside because I dared to say and the thing is I never say I hate your I don't say I hate your fucking boyfriend or I hate your girlfriend, I think she's a bitch, blah blah blah. I just go, are you sure that you're happy in this?
Hey, you, I don't like your boyfriend.
Yeah, exactly.
You never
I'm
do
like,
that.
I want people to look at things and make the decision for themselves, because I trust that my friends are fucking adults.
So do
but
I.
sometimes I want to be the backboard that it's like, hey, let's look in a mirror real quick. Like, do we feel good about everything that's going on? And I've done that to you too, with just people that are around, where it's like, I'm totally okay with this if you're okay with this,
Yeah.
but this bumped me a little bit,
Talking about
and I
our
want
Brazilian friend. Yeah.
yeah, that's probably the only person I've had conflict
Yeah,
with
but here's
in the
the
last
thing.
5
Here's
years.
the thing about that. I really appreciate how you handled that. I have a friend that Kelly just.
We got along well in the beginning until I started hearing his thoughts about women.
Until she actually heard what he was saying.
Yeah.
And so I'm doing this. Well, he's not like that. He's not like that. And then Kelly's like, okay, be friends with him. Okay, I'm not going to really intrude on this. And then I went to New Year's Eve with a group of people, rented this massive penthouse that was $2,000 a night. Like, we fucking did this crazy, like, let's just do this thing. So we did this thing. And I'm not a big occasion celebrator, but I was like, okay, let's do New Year's Eve. So we did New Year's Eve. And I was in a room with these king bunk beds, and I was on the top bunk, and our female friends were underneath us. And I hear him say to a friend of mine I introduced him to, who's one of my lifelong homies who lives in San Diego, he's saying this, I don't go sleep with him. What if he rolls over and fucking tries something with me? And she says, you're fucking gross. You're fucking gross. He would never do that. I walked out, slid open the wall, and did this. This is a sliding door, motherfucker. I can hear everything that you're saying, and everything that you said about him was fucking legitimized, right? And I respected the fact, and really respected and really acknowledged the fact, and understood what you were doing. You did not try to turn me against him.
Not at all. Yeah,
I just be friends with me. You're like, I just don't like him, and maybe you hang out with him and go do your thing.
I just didn't want to be a part of the hangouts anymore, because I just once we had an initial thing where I like really understood his views on things, I was like, I don't think I can be cool and like, not that I'd be searching for conflict, but it's hard for me to have fun with somebody when I know that they think really terrible things about people. Yeah. I'm just like, including
thinking terrible things about the person that
yeah,
you're
the
friends
facade with. The mask is off, and now I don't think anything you say is charming or fun. So I was like, yeah, you go hang out with him, but I don't want to be there.
I will say this though, in the last few months, homie's been texting me, and I've met with him. That was 6-8 months ago. He needed money. But in the last 3 months, and I paid him, and I gave him money, and he didn't pay me. That was like a year and a half ago. Paid him, didn't pay me, and then we had a sort of a come Jesus meeting. I'm like, he's like, why are you hostile toward me? I'm like, you borrowed money from me, put me in a position where I had to do it because I couldn't let you fail, and then you're out all the time, and you're spending the money that I gave you going out, right? So we had that. But in the last 3 months, he's reached back out and he's acknowledged some things that has happened in his life and what he was going through, and I can hear it. Mm-hmm. Does it mean that we're going to be close friends again? I don't know. But I do know this. If you hurt me and come at me genuinely and say, and can acknowledge the things that you've done and how you made me feel, mm-hmm. I do think that for me, it's not an easy give, but it's a give that I'm willing to make. I never want to be so fucked up by the world that I don't lead with trust. I want you to prove to me that you're not worthy of my trust.
Yeah,
I
how
want
am
to be
too.
disappointed.
Yeah.
So my friend Alfrey, she's an amazing actor, Alfrey Woodard. She called me out on some behavior that I did, and it wasn't like behavior, but it was worldview behavior, like life view behavior. And she was like, you act like you were born in the Great Depression. Like, you always are waiting for the other shoe to drop so you could do this. I knew it. I knew this wouldn't work out. I knew this was going to be bad for me. I mean, of course it fulfilled itself, right? Mm-hmm. And she said, always expect good. Always lead with trust. And then be vulnerable enough to hurt through it if it doesn't work out, mm-hmm. and then make choices from there. Yeah. So I never want anybody to be so damaging to me, or in a situation to be so damaging that I have to be guarded. I want to lead with trust. And of course, as you get older and more experienced with just living and things have happened to you, you subconsciously will edit people.
For sure.
But I don't want to go in from a place of no. I want to trust and then have the fucking human ability to do this. Wow. That really, I wasn't expecting that. That's not what you showed me. That really fucking hurt me.
I agree with that 1,000%. That's always how I've been. I trust everybody until they give me a reason not to trust them. It's the only way to make real connections with people. And the thing is like, we've talked about this so many times, your brain is such a powerful fucking thing. If you go into interactions waiting for somebody to fuck you over, you will find how somebody's fucking you over. And it could be a little thing that they're actually not fucking you over, but you will materialize this entire scenario around something somebody said or did in order to fit that narrative that you've already told yourself, so to
it's
me,
like people that do their own research. You're doing the research.
Yeah. The confirmation bias is
the
strong.
Shit that you already think.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So you will fucking do mental gymnastics to find something that confirms what you already think. And I don't want to do that.
Yeah. And I'm totally okay with giving people second chances too. It's like, if you can apologize to me in a way that you are acknowledging that you understand what you did.
Yeah.
Because sometimes people will give you an apology and they're just, I'm sorry.
It's obligatory.
I'm sorry that I hurt your feelings. Or I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings.
I'm sorry if you felt that way.
I'm sorry if you felt that way.
Get the fuck out of here.
Whatever. That's different. But if somebody comes to me and they really can break down what they did was messed up and all that stuff, like, I'm totally open to second chances. And you just, you don't necessarily put the wall completely up, but you're like, I know what to look out for at this point. And if I see them slighting me again, then
it would be foolish to not acknowledge and put a. Every relationship is about boundaries. Cliches are true, and this is a cliche that relationships are about boundaries. If you cross this line with me too many times, and I've told you that that's a boundary for me or a stumbling block, and you keep doing it, it means you don't respect me, you don't regard me. So I have to then look at myself. Why am I still participating in this? But I'll give a 39th chance, but it's mine to make. It's mine to decide. But also the people that close to me can also. Are within their right to do this. I'm not doing this with you anymore. I'm not doing this with you and this other person. If you continue this, I can't be in your life anymore. And I had to do that to somebody I'm very close to. Was with a woman who wrecked all of our occasions, my birthday party, everything that she fucking touched was destroyed, and everything was chaotic surrounding this relationship. So I had to get to this place of loving but firm where I did this. I see what you're going through right now, and only you know when it's enough, but I can't do this anymore. So I won't engage you about this anymore. I won't hear you anymore about this. I don't want her in my home or her around me. You can do whatever you want to do because it's your life, but I will no longer be a party to this. And that is valid and permissible. But also, you can't tell people not to give a 39th chance. People can only learn things until they're ready to learn them. Every mistake's been made before us by people older than us.
But that leads me to something I wrote in my phone, which I feel like is a fairly controversial take, or at least it seems that way when I look in media and social media and all that stuff, is that ultimatums, not inherently bad or toxic or anything like that. Like the most glaring example of people talking shit about ultimatums is always about a woman who gave a guy an ultimatum, like, you got to marry me or I'm out or whatever. And the woman is always demonized for this thing. And it's like, I don't understand why that's a bad thing. If you're on a path to, hey, I want to be married someday, and so you're like, hey, I'd like to be engaged by this time, otherwise I'm going to have to move on. I think that's a completely healthy and reasonable thing to do. And the other person has choice in that. And so this idea that people are forcing people to get married or whatever, it's like, if you don't want to lose the person, then you got to figure out what they're asking for. Can you do this thing or leave? Or
if you can't get to a place where you can see merit in it based on the fact that they have a need. If it's not congruent with your life, then an ultimatum is completely the right thing to do.
And it's your responsibility to let that person go if you can't give them what they're asking for.
And it's our responsibility to draw lines in the sand in those instances, because we are ultimately responsible for our own happiness. Your happiness cannot be external. If it can't be met by the people near you that are not interested in your path, you have to have the wisdom to do this. Bye. And we talked about this on another podcast, I think, or in life, or on the car on the way here, or just passing,
somewhere,
going to the bathroom. The fact that I don't remember what I was going to say.
Oh, that's good.
Maybe we never talked about it.
Maybe it doesn't even exist.
What were we talking about
Maybe
just
the
now?
thought doesn't exist. Ultimatums.
I don't know.
Lost it.
I don't know.
Did you ever remember the thing you were supposed to talk about in last week's episode?
No.
Okay, well, we're gonna work
The thing is, I could do a crossword puzzle like a motherfucker. Like I'm not falling apart.
Which is our next episode, actually, us doing the New York Times Sunday
I'm not falling
crossword.
apart. I'm not falling apart. What it is that I am so passionate about what I'm getting ready to say, but there are 19 alleys that are tempting on the way to that
100%.
statement.
I mean, but that's...
I'm like, look at that, all those flowers growing at the end of the alley. Let me go pick some of those.
We have talked 1,000 times about adding a structure to this podcast, but
I don't
it's hard
want to.
for us because we like, and maybe this actually is how people understand how our friendship even bloomed in the first place, because this is our conversations, right?
Yeah.
Like we can talk for 5 fucking hours and never touch the same topic twice, and we don't know how we ended up here because we started here, and it's just because we let every tangent take us down another road.
The problem I have with structural podcasts is this.
You baloney bitches wouldn't understand.
You baloney bitches don't have it. I love
I
it.
actually love that we
baloney
have
bitches don't have it. Baby, I'm lavish. What I have a problem with that about is I feel like it's a construct, and I don't like things that are artificial. We talked about on an earlier podcast, and I know we talked about this, how I can't watch professional porn because any noise, any action that's not 100% genuine and organic, like what's the noise, Kelly?
Yeah.
Yeah, that. Any noise.
Wait, I don't think we told the story of when I did that, because you were like, what's that
porn noise?
Porn noise, blah, blah, blah.
that women make?
And I didn't even know for sure that this is what you're talking about, but I just like full with my whole chest. So I was like, yeah. And
I'm
you're
like, oh
yes!
my God, that's it. So it completely takes me out of the scenario. Anything that's artificial or seems pre-planned bothers me.
Yeah, if they're being baloney bitches, we can't.
They
we
don't
can't have it.
Yeah. You baloney bitches don't have it, and they don't.
We're gonna get all the listeners commenting on
Yeah, but
her
here's the
page.
thing.
When is this coming out, please?
But here's the thing about that. I'm not saying at some point that we won't have segments and structure, but I want it to be organic and we naturally go to that. I don't want to start forcing things upon ourselves that we're trying to do because we run out of conversation. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the place where you sit on down and pour yourself a glass.
We've been doing Unsolicited for 5.5 years.
I love
and
that podcast.
Don't have a fucking structure. And
If you guys don't know Kelly's other podcast, it's the Unsolicited 3.
Yeah, the Unsolicited podcast, and it is the most low budget, unplanned bullshit podcast. But we fucking like. It's one of those things where every week, it's like you're never in the mood to turn it on or be, I guess, not on the couch rotting watching TV. But within 3 minutes of signing on to our Zoom and starting to record the podcast, I'm laughing my ass off, and I'm so happy that I did it. It's like it's basically
dynamic,
just a phone catch up with Tommy and Jack every
y'all's
week.
dynamic is gold. I've guested on that podcast a couple times.
Yeah,
and
you were
it's
great.
so
Yeah.
easy. I do it from my couch, and it's literally like I don't know Tommy and Jack as well as Kelly does. I know Jack a little better because we shared a bedroom at Jim's bachelor party, and he also Jack
does our theme song.
Yeah, Jack Hackett does our theme song. He's just a good creative. I love this guy.
Jack Hackett is one of my favorite fucking people in the entire world. Can I tell you about him real quick?
Please.
So he was my brother's assistant when I first met him. So my brother was filming a movie called Where's the Money? A very funny movie. It's got Method Man and Retta and Terry Crews.
I love Method Man so much.
He's the sweetest
He's the
human
sweetest
on the
motherfucker
planet.
in the world.
He was the only person who was early to the movie premiere, and I was like, I was not expecting that
I
at all.
met him at the upfronts. We were both on TNT shows, and he was so fucking
He's an
nice.
absolute sweetheart.
Oh, I love
him. That movie was so funny. But Jack went to USC, which Scott also went to USC. So USC reached out to him and was like, hey, we have these, young group of people who are looking for placements or whatever. So Jack became Scott's assistant. So I met Jack the first time when he was like 19, working on my brother's movie. And he was just this dorky kid and, like excited to be on the job. And Colleen and I went to the movie set and we hung out and all that stuff. And never in a million years would I have guessed that Jack someday would become one of my best friends.
Dude,
but he is the nicest person on the planet, the most thoughtful and generous. Like, there have been so many times where I'm like, for instance, when my sister-in-law Mylene was in town, she was borrowing my car and my car broke down somewhere or whatever, and she's like, oh, I'm stuck here. And so I was like, why don't you get an Uber back and we'll go get the car in the morning. So I text Jack and I'm like, would you be able to drive me to my car tomorrow morning? Like, I'll pay you and we'll get you breakfast, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, I'll just take you right now. And it's like 11:30 at night and he comes to my house to pick me up, take me out there, all that. It's like, he's just a good ass fucking friend. And he's so talented.
He's so talented. He's so creative.
I can't say enough good things about
And
Jack.
an easy
If anybody
hang.
wants to date Jack, he's single.
And he's not a virgin. I found that out.
He's not a virgin and he is the nicest guy ever, but also
And he's
like
cute.
He's smart and funny and just a good hang.
And he's cute.
And he's cute.
He is really cute.
He's like my little brother, so I don't want to think about anything
Well,
sexual with him. But you can.
You can see both my hands. I'm not fucking jerking myself off under the table. I will later.
Who's
though.
under the table? Though? It's Jack.
You belong to the
Just Jack.
But he's amazing and kind and creative.
By the way,
and
we do
humble.
actually have to disclose that this is an ad. So this is an ad for Jack Hackett. He
paid for by the Jack Hackett Foundation.
But yeah, if there's
Brought
any
to you by
single
Beatbox.
ladies out there in Los Angeles that are interested in Jack, we should do. That's our first segment is finding Jack a date.
So listen, so right now we're finding ourself and our podcast and our voice and our dynamic, and we love that you guys are here for this ride. It's going to evolve into what it becomes, right? It's like everything.
Pivot.
It becomes
Constantly pivot.
It becomes what it is. At some point, we're going to have guests on the show. I think it would be really good if we could do like a 4 or 5 episode, like mini series where we find Jack Love.
Yeah, I would love to. We talked about this on Unsolicited too. Is Tommy and I were talking about showing up wherever Jack was going on a date and having having earpieces so we could hear the date, but we'd also have microphones where we're live podcasting his date.
Like Cyrano de Bergerac, where you're like talking. Like, do you ever see the movie Roxanne?
No.
It was Steve Martin, and he is
with
this
the nose,
giant prosthetic nose.
it's based on that
Him and
story.
Daryl Hannah.
Yeah.
Cyrano de Bergerac.
Yeah.
Like, he was this amazing, thoughtful guy with physical affliction, and it's up on the screen right now. Isaac, you're so good. And
She's a fast typer.
he's telling this big goob, like big handsome goob, what to say, and Roxanne falls in love with him, and then she realizes Steve Martin falls in love with him. But Jack doesn't need that.
No.
What Jack needs is this in his ear, not someone to say, do this. God, you're so handsome. You're such a fucking creative,
just build his
smart
confidence the whole
guy.
time. Yeah,
Of course,
Yeah,
dude.
exactly.
You could slay this. And if you get into any trouble during sex, think about baseball. And I would do this. So I use it to induce orgasm, but I think you could use it to prevent orgasm.
Yeah,
Honey, I'm lavish.
When I used to have roommates, my roommates would want me to help them respond to their online dating stuff because I started posting my online dating conversations
I've seen them.
10, 12 years ago
Oh,
when it was unthought of to
Were you
put
posting
people
the
on blast.
photos of the guy with his dick in the sink?
Well,
Were
you can't
posting
post
those?
that on Facebook, but,
All right, but you
I was
post-
posting the conversations where people were really inappropriate with me and my responses.
Yeah.
And my friend Max, who I've told you about, he used to run a blog at the time called Ruin My Week, and we didn't know each other at the time, but it was a comedy blog that I liked and I followed, and he had shared my posts and stuff like that, and now he and I are great friends. He's got a great podcast about Bob's Burgers. It's called Bob's Credits. But anyway, what was I talking about?
You're talking about...
Oh, so my friends would want me to help
I've got
them
your back.
respond to their online dating things, and I'm like, at some point you have to respond this way because when you show up on the date and this is not your personality, that's going to be a fucking problem. But maybe men don't notice that stuff. They're
So-
like, "Oh, she has boobs in real life. That's cool."
Exactly.
Honk, honk.
I remember you sending me some screen grabs from that part of your online dating life, and one of them was a guy with his dick in the sink.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and the sink was dirty.
It was so dirty.
And he's in his bathroom, in what world, what's going on in this dude's mind where he does this? You know what she probably will like? This.
There was a time period on Tinder where Tinder had moments, and so it was like essentially like updating your status or something like that, but you could do pictures, and so you could post a picture a day of like what you were doing that day. And the amount of men that were just posting nudes, and I'm like, on a date, like, you're on the wrong dating site.
Yeah.
They really thought Tinder was for fucking, and that women would respond
But a lot
to
of
like
it
this
is,
guy.
though. And that's the thing, though.
Well, yes, but
If one woman out of 9,000 women fucks on the first date, the guy thinks.
But that's
well,
such an inefficient way to run the numbers game, because now that you've posted your dick picture publicly for everybody, now everybody's looking at you like, oh, that's somebody I wouldn't be interested in. At least say, hey, how are you? Then send the dick picture, because
make it the third part of the conversation.
I had one that was really funny where it was a guy messaged me and he was like, hey, Kelly, what are the chances of me coming over and giving you some bomb ass dick tonight? And I was like, well, I would have considered it if that was your third message and not your first. And then he sent one more and then another one. He goes, what if I told you that I have T-Mobile and that was actually my third message? And it made me laugh really hard because it was creative.
So he came over and gave you a bomb ass dick?
Yeah. No,
I
didn't end up talking to him a little bit more, but then I accidentally unmatched him and then couldn't find him again, which was fine.
So I don't have this experience because by the time online dating came along, I was already established in my career, which would be weird, and I'm not doing whatever that other thing is, Ryza or whatever the fuck it is, Raya. Yeah, I'm not doing that. So, but there was a period right before the pandemic where I was like, you know what, I can do this. So I posted a profile on a dating site and had meetups with two guys. One was a date and one was a hookup. And the first guy was a date guy, showed up to a restaurant and did this. Oh my God, I didn't know that was you. This weirded me out. I got to go. I'm like, but it was my photo.
Right.
And so you would show up for somebody who's, is catfishing you. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
The second guy was a hookup. I was like, I'll try this. All my buddies are doing it. They find women on the internet and they're like, come over here and I'll do this, whatever you guys do. Do that.
Yeah, that's your
on the Patreon
hand motion.
This is what I think you guys do. And so he shows up to my house. It's late, and he's an actor that I recognize, and it wasn't his photo. And he was like, "Oh, thank God." And I'm like, "Get the fuck out of here! You just catfished me."
Yeah.
You can't just show up and show me something that be like this. This is what I look like.
Do you think I wasn't going to recognize Marilyn Manson?
He showed up at my house, and I've never talked about this publicly, so this is definitely new ground. Because I've had a shame core attached to anything that I do. Meanwhile, all my straight buddies are fucking anything that moves or has a pulse.
Yeah.
And so this guy just came to my house, and I was like this. Oh my God, I love that show. And I'm like, but no, you cannot come into my house because you fucking lied to me. Get the fuck out of here. And he was like, what are you talking about? This is a great situation. I'm like, it's a fucking shitty situation.
It started on a lie.
Because you fucking lied to me.
It feels icky to have been fooled by anybody. And that as the basis of any relationship is no bueno.
I don't like subterfuge and artifice. Like anything that's fake or that's a lie. That's why I could never steal from old people. Like I don't want to take advantage of somebody or like lead them.
Yeah, but what if they really deserve it?
Well, that's the thing though, because I'm actually reevaluating that, and I want to talk to you about it. What if you found the number that an old person could be stolen from, and it wouldn't wreck their lives?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah, is that okay? Well, it's funny because like when I see like a little cute old man crossing the street and stuff like that, I'm like, oh, cute. And then in my head I go, he's from 1920. He was probably a giant piece of shit in his youth. Like it brings me back to earth. I'm like, he probably doesn't think I should be able to talk.
He drops something, you get out of your car to help him across the crosswalk, and he does this. Thanks, bitch.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, whore, do you want to come back to my house like my dick?
All right, let's close this out with one last quick email from Jolene. I just wanted to say how much I love this podcast. I found it when I needed it most. You guys are hilarious, and you you have me almost spit out my drink numerous times. I look forward to every episode.
Thank you so much for listening, Jolene. We love you right back.
Jolene.
My grandfather's, my mother's father, my uncle Bob, my grandpa Bob was one of the stars of my life, was dated a girl named Jolene.
Wait, is Bob by any chance the one who needs approval on Queen Herbie's song?
No,
That's what I was just gonna say.
Call him.
If that was the way,
call him just in case. Let's cover our
Grandpa
bases.
Bob was Queen Herbie's producer, I would have fucking cut her out of the equation immediately and be like this.
Stolen the song.
Hey,
this is
Grandpa
actually
Bob.
written for me.
Hey, Grandpa Bob, can you fix this? Anyway, Jolene, if you're still alive, hey.
Well, this Jolene is, but the other
no.
Jolene.
Jolene,
Yeah.
Grandpa Bob's
Yeah.
Jolene. And guys, that closes the show. Thank you so much for joining us. Tell your friends. We really want to grow this thing. It's our community. You don't have to join our Patreon. You can just go to Spotify or Apple Podcast and listen to us. Tell your friends about that.
But people are making friends in Patreon.
That's the really cool thing about our Patreon. Our lowest tier starts at $5. You get to see the podcast video. The things that
you get it a week early.
You get a week early, and you get to interact, and we interact with you, and we love it, and it allows us to exist.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you. Check
We'll
us out
see you next
online at loadedpod. Email us at probablyloadedpod@gmail.com or check us out on Patreon at patreon.com/loadedpod. See you next week.
You're so good at that.
Wave to me, I'm
Lavish benefits and
washing down this
you baloney bitches don't have it.
Sit on down and pour yourself a glass.
and tune into your favorite podcast.
Where things will be misquoted.
And opinions ain't sugar-coated.
'Cause DJ and Kelly are locked and probably loaded.